Welcome to Knoxville Raceway Inside Line with your host Eric Arnold, presented by Lucas Oil, FVP, Casey's General Store, Speed Sport, Arnold Motor Supply, RacingJunk.com, and Pella Motors.
Good evening, race fans. Welcome to the Knoxville Raceway Inside Line. This is Eric Arnold, Knoxville Raceway track historian, your host on KBOE 104.9 in Oskaloosa, your station for racing. Coming up tonight, our guests will going to be Josh Schneiderman, driver of the number 49 World of Wheels sprint car. He races out of Burlington, Iowa. See him a lot down there with the Sprint Invaders. Also, weekly at Knoxville Raceway in the 410 division. So he's got a long history of racing in his family. So it'll be great to catch up with Josh and learn a little bit about him. Also, I'm going to talk with Bob Baker, Executive Director of the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. They've got a big month here coming up in May, and then later this summer with the Nationals coming and everything. There's lots of events coming, so I wanted to touch base with Bob with some of their programs going on right now. Of course, this last week at Knoxville, the races were rained out again, the third week in a row, pushing the season opener back one more week even further now. So here we are, the fourth week of the season, no races to talk about. That's why we will have two guests again this week. So thanks to those guys for coming on the show here in a little while. So coming up this Saturday night, we will try it again. The 62nd annual Knoxville Raceway season opener. Kids 19 and under will get in for free. It is also still a race for your school night. We're still honoring those coupons if you have those. The Casey's General Store receipts of $50 or more paid for this week. Bring those to you into the ticket office. You can get 2 tickets for $20. Seniors ages 60 and up is a $3 discount, as well as veterans. Pellicorp, Nationwide Insurance Farm Bureau employees show a form of ID. You can get a $5 discount on tickets as well. So once again, season opener, kids 19 and under free this Saturday night. This Saturday night also, we have the National Sprint League, their first appearance at the Knoxville Raceway. This is a new series that is traveling around the Midwest, around Missouri, Illinois, Iowa, South Dakota, Nebraska. A series that is run by Todd Queering of Big Game Tree Stands. He's put a lot of money and effort into this series this year. FVP is the title sponsor of this series, so once again, thanks to FVP for stepping up and sponsoring this series. This is the first of 4 appearances at Knoxville Raceway this year. They also have a race Friday night in Eagle, Nebraska. Now, Durst Motorplex over in Nebraska, a long-time company that's been involved with racing over there, they are putting up a $20,000 bonus, I believe, for anyone that can win Friday night at Eagle, Nebraska and Saturday at Knoxville. So if someone can sweep those 2 races this weekend, picks up a $20,000 bonus from the Durst Motorplex. So should be interesting to see whoever wins Friday night come to Knoxville Saturday and see if they can pull that off. A little bit later in the season, they will be back on June 27th, July 4th, and then the season championship night at Knoxville on August 29th. And don't forget, June 13th, we've got the World of Outlaws MediaCom Shootout coming up. We have the County Fair in July with Tyler Farr in concert, the Harris Clash and Dirt Carts, then the 360 Nationals in August, and the 55th Annual FVP Knoxville Nationals, August 12th through the 15th. So with that, we'll go to a quick break here. We'll come right back with our first guest, Bob Baker from the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. You're listening to the Knoxville Raceway Inside Line on KBOE. Thanks for listening to the Knoxville Podcast. This segment is brought to you by Lucas Oil. Lucas Oil Products produces a premium line of oils, greases, and problem-solving additives. Visit lucasoil.com. Welcome back to the Knoxville Raceway Inside Line. Joining us on the phone now is Executive Director of the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame Museum, Bob Baker. And Bob, thanks for coming on to the show tonight.
Thanks, Eric. It's always great to be on. How you doing?
Great. Hopefully we get some dry weather this Saturday, huh?
I think that's what everybody's praying for at this point right now. With 3 rainouts, I think everybody would just be happy to see any kind of race we could get in here.
I think you're right. Well, you guys got a big month here coming up in May. Lots of things going on with, you've got this Museum Madness Tour with the National Sprint Car League that you have partnered up with. Can you tell us a little bit about that and where all you're going to be going with that this season?
Yes, we have 7 nights planned in 7 different states with the National Sprint League, where we're going to be going and standing at the front gates when the race fans enter, and they'll get a museum brochure that's numbered. And with that, they'll do drawings, and we'll have, I think, roughly 100-plus prizes every night that we're going to be giving away during intermission. You know, they could be jackets, shirts, or anything from a pencil or decal or calendar, different items that we have here, books from the museum store in Knoxville in our museum. So we're going to do that for 7 nights, and the first one's coming up. I believe it's next week on Friday night at Jackson Speedway on May the 16th. and so we're very excited about that.
That sounds like a great program, a way to spread the word about the Hall of Fame at so many different tracks. So,
one thing we're going to do with that program is we're going to try to have one of our Hall of Fame inductees at each of the races that we go to, and I believe we're going to have Chuck Merrill, the former owner of Maxim Chassis, is going to be with us at Jacksonville, and then our next event's going to be Friday, May 29th in Moberly, Missouri, and Bill Oots will be in Moberly, Missouri, and Bill's going to bring his Old Yeller number 56 race car out to Moberly. And we also have Ken Taylor's number 96 car on display at Moberly. So we're going to try to take a car or two to each of the Museum Madness nights we do with the National Sprint League, and also try to get a Hall of Famer to come and meet the fans at our booth. They're close to the entrance area where they can pick up the brochures with the numbers on them for the free prizes. So it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah. A couple weeks after that, I think you've got a Sprint Car 101 coming up here on the third Thursday of May, right?
Yes, on May the 21st, we've got Sprint Car 101 with Wayne Johnson from Knoxville. We'll be in the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. It's a free program. It's on Thursday night at 7 o'clock. It's open to the public, and it's just a real informal way where the public can learn more about some of the race car drivers, people involved in the sport of sprint car racing, and some of the behind-the-scenes things that go on. Wayne will talk for a little bit, and then we'll open it up for questions and answers. You've done several of these for us. Thank you for doing that and for being our MC at our Sprint Car 101s on several occasions. But we have different people that come in and do the MCing, and also different people that are guest featured speakers. Third Thursday of each month we try to do it, unless there's a racing event here at Knoxville or inclement weather sometimes slows us down a little bit on those. But it's a lot of fun. It lasts about an hour, hour and a half, and afterwards, you get a chance to meet Wayne and shake hands and ask questions if you're not comfortable asking them with everybody inside the room there. Usually we have 50, 60 people at those, and like I said, it is free to the public, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to do those, and it's been a lot of fun to also not just meet some people I don't normally meet, especially with fans that are there, but learn a little bit about some of the cast of characters that we have as far as drivers and people in the sport. So it's been a lot of fun for me, so it's my pleasure to help out there. At the end of May, you've got the 26th annual induction weekend. You got a great class coming in this year, it looks like.
We really do. We're really excited. Danny Smith is going to be one of our inductees this year, along with photographer Mike Arthur is going to be inducted, and Donnie Kreitz Jr. from Pennsylvania. I think he's bringing 25 to 30 people with him from Pennsylvania that are flying in. Danny Smith called earlier today, and he said, I need a favor. And I said, what's the favor? He said, I got to get in and out of the induction and be there and do it. He goes, but I've got a race that night at Waynes County Speedway. So he goes, I told Tony Stewart I'd run with the All-Stars this year. He said, but I got a problem. And Tony said, what's the problem? He says, well, I got to be back in Knoxville for my induction banquet. Tony said, I got a plane. It's not a problem. So Tony's going to help Danny Smith get here for his induction banquet on that Saturday afternoon, May 30th at 12 noon. And then as soon as it's over, Tony's pilot's going to fly Danny back to Waynes County Speedway to race with the All-Star Circuit of Champions that Saturday night. So Danny's going to be busy.
That's great. Danny's going to be able to pull that off, and Tony's a great supporter of the sport, and it doesn't surprise me at all to have Tony do something like that. I was talking with Bruce Ellis here just a couple of weeks ago, and he's going to be inducted this year, and he's just really excited, but he's having trouble being. He's always so humble, and it's hard for him to come out and express his thanks and that kind of thing. So it's always great to get to the banquet and hear everybody's acceptance speeches and how they handle that situation.
You're exactly right, Eric. That is one of the highlights of our induction banquet. If people listening have never been, we'd like to encourage anyone that would like to come. It's only $25. It includes a very nice lunch. You get to meet not only the new inductees, but usually we have 50 to 100 past inductees that come to our induction banquet. And it's a who's who of sprint car racing people that are sitting at the tables right next to you and having a nice meal and listening to the new inductees get inducted. And you hear great stories that you won't hear anywhere else except for at the induction banquet, when these drivers and people like Bruce Ellis, who've dedicated their lives to sprint car racing, and it's a lifetime achievement award to be inducted. And like you say, most of the people inducted are very humble, and they're very willing to share their stories, but a loss for words sometimes.
Yeah. Speaking of humble people, Gil Sonner, a well-known name here in Iowa, a guy from Des Moines who's raced at Knoxville for almost 50 years now. he's going to be inducted as well. So I can't imagine Gilly's going to get up there and say a whole lot of, but great accomplishment on for his career.
Yes, and just some of our other inductees. Gene Tiger Brown is going to be inducted this year, along with the famous builder Roger Beck. And Charlie Wiggins, he's our pre-1945 inductee, an African-American gentleman who has a very, very rich history, stories. I believe it's his grandson is going to be here too, except for him. So if we're not able to have an inductee who's deceased, we try to get a family member that knows a little bit about the inductee that can share some stories of the inductee from the past with us. And we learn a lot from those stories.
Sure do. The Expand the Dream campaign, inform everybody what that's about and how they can get involved and where we're at right now.
Well, the Expand the Dream, we started a little under 4 years ago, and we thought it would take 3 to 5 years to actually complete it, but there's two parts to Expand the Dream. One of the components is to increase the endowment fund for the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. Most museums and nonprofit organizations, churches, and other 501c3 foundations have an endowment fund that sustains, helps keep the museum going when times are tough, and also helps to offset the overhead each year. So we're on a mission to try to increase our endowment fund. Right now our endowment fund is fairly healthy, but not what we would like it to be to pass on to the next generation of management team that comes into the Hall of Fame. So we're working on that, and the most visible part of Expand the Dream is the new building that we're building where the old car wash sits right now. The car wash has served us very well. It was purchased roughly 14 years ago by the Hall of Fame, and we've used it as our storage facility to store racing papers, periodicals, drivers' helmets, drivers' uniforms, racing trophies, anything from the archives of sprint car racing's past we've stored in the annex, and it has served us well, but unfortunately the annex is full. There's no more room, and right now we have 23 individuals who have included the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in their estate plans, and just one of these individuals is Lou Lewis from California, who in his lifetime has amassed what he calls the Holy Grail of West Coast sprint car racing. It's a 2-car garage full of West Coast sprint car racing memorabilia. And in his will, in his estate plan, Lou is bringing everything to Knoxville. So we've teased Lou and told him, you can't pass away until we get this new building built because our current car wash is completely full. And Lou was just here about 4 years ago when we started the campaign. And he said, he goes, I chose Knoxville, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame Museum, because I know this place will be here forever, and that's where I want my things to go so that people across the country can come and learn more about West Coast sprint car racing, the things that I've accumulated. So there's 22 other individuals similar to Lou, but Lou's one of the largest collections that are coming to Knoxville. And we just, as a museum, need to provide an archive center, a building that's climate controlled to store these things for future generations to enjoy. So to make a long story short, the new building is going to cost $1,920,000. We've raised $1,200,000 to date. So we're roughly $720,000 away from tearing down the car wash and building a new building behind the rib shack. So we're working on that. Our timeline is if we can get that last $700,000 raised by the 1st of July this year, then we can start construction after this year's Nationals. And if we don't have the money by July 1st of this year, then we'll begin construction after next year's Nationals in 2016.
You've had the Tribute to Champions themes the last couple of years with Voight and Mario Andretti and Steve Kinzer and Sammy Swindell. Do you have one of those coming up this summer as well?
Yep, we started our Salute to Champion program with Tony Stewart, and Tony was very gracious and loaned us, I think we had 6 of Tony's race cars on display, and we tried to showcase a variety of race cars that the Salute to Champions drivers have participated or raced in. And I think with Tony we had his IROC stock car here, his NASCAR Home Depot NASCAR Sprint Cup car that he won his first Cup race in, a Silver Crown car, a midget sprint car, and I believe there was one other car we had here. We had 6 of Tony's cars. The next year he followed it up with a Salute to Champion Jeff Gordon, and then Mario Andretti. Last year was our Salute to Champion Steve Kinzer, which was a huge hit. And along with, of course, the Salute to Champions, we do the T-shirts and posters, which big items inside our museum store. This year, we're going to start on June the 12th with a Salute to Champion Doug Wolfgang. And right now, we have commitments for 6 of Doug's cars that he's raced in the past to be brought into the museum. And they'll be here from June the 12th through mid-November. I believe it's November 15th. And like the other Salute to Champions, we'll have memorabilia, drivers' helmets, driving uniforms of the drivers we're featuring, and also we'll have the posters and the T-shirts to commemorate the Salute to Champion Doug Wolfgang that we'll have for sale in our museum store. So we're really excited. Doug is very good friends with Dave Argerbright, the book author. So this year, our members-only VIP reception is going to feature Doug Wolfgang, and of course he'll be interviewed by Dave Argerbright. That's going to be on Thursday of the Knoxville Nationals, which is August the 13th at 11:30 in the morning. So not only will we have the Salute to Champions with Doug's cars downstairs, we'll have Doug speaking up on the second floor, and then he'll hang around, sign autographs, and talk with people when he's finished. So
You made me happy. Doug Wolfgang is my all-time favorite driver, Bob.
Well, I tell you, there's a lot of people, when we travel across the country to other races, and they ask us, who's going to be your next Salute to Champion, or who are you going to do next? Have you thought about this driver or that driver? Everybody that we've told that we've been thinking about and trying to find cars to do a Salute to Champion Doug Wolfgang has been pretty excited. They said, we'll come to Knoxville to see a Salute to Champion Doug Wolfgang. They said exactly what you said, Eric. He's one of our favorite drivers, or our favorite all-time drivers. So we think it's going to be very popular with the visitors here.
I think so, too. Well, Bob, thanks for coming on the show tonight, and hopefully we'll get some races in Saturday night.
It's great to be on the inside line with you, and thanks for having us on as your guest.
Okay, thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Eric.
That was Bob Baker from the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame Museum in Knoxville. We'll be right back with our next guest, Josh Schneiderman. You're listening to the Knoxville Raceway Inside Line on KBOE. Thanks for listening to the Knoxville podcast. This segment is brought to you by Arnold Motor Supply. Visit an Arnold Motor Supply store near you for the highest quality auto parts and tools for all makes and models on the road. Visit arnoldmotorsupply.com. Welcome back to the Knoxville Raceway Inside Line. Joining us on the phone is sprint car driver from West Burlington, driver of the World of Wheels, number 49, Josh Schneiderman. And Josh, thanks for coming on to the show tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
So far this year, we haven't raced at Knoxville yet. You have been able to race a few times here locally. Just talk a little bit about how your start of the season has gone so far, where you've raced, and how those results have been for you.
Yeah, Mother Nature's really been unkind to us here these first few weeks in Knoxville, but we were able to get a couple shows in here early at 34 Raceway in Burlington, Iowa. We raced the 360 car here early in April, and we had a pretty solid night. We were fast. We were there. We ran top three most of the race. The driver kind of fell out of feet there at the end and ended up sixth. Then we raced the next weekend with the new series, the NSL series, and we were fast. We qualified well. We qualified seventh out of 40 cars, and at the start of the heat race, things just went downhill. We got against the cushion, and some panels caved in against the throttle and stuck the throttle wide open. And then in the B main, we broke a nose wing and spent some oil on the header and caught on fire. And by some miracle, we figured out a way to make it through the B main and transferred in the back of the show. And we just couldn't really get going in the feature on a very tacky racetrack. But all in all, it was a good night. Showed our motor program, I think, is coming real close.
I've had a decent start of the season then. It sounded like you did have a good showing there at your home track in Burlington. And just talk a little bit about how, I know your father, Bart, was a racer before you were, and I know your brother and your sister race a little bit now, your sister does. And just talk a little bit about where your dad got into racing and how that evolved into the rest of your family and you racing.
Dad started out pushing sprint cars back in the late 70s, early 80s, and kind of as he kept working, and we just decided that looked like something fun to do, and he bought his first car in 1985, and back then they were super modified, and he just progressed into what we have today. I started racing back in 2002, and my Uncle John's raced beside us for years. And then, of course, my brother, he started racing here the mid to late 2000s. And then my little sister took a little try at it. So it's it's been a family experience, which is pretty cool because every night we go to the racetrack, the whole family's there supporting everybody. That's a huge deal for us. That's what makes life go round is being part of a big family and having everybody support each other.
I kind of forgot your John Scholes is your uncle, right?
Yeah, so it makes it interesting. John and I were racing there that first night out, so we had a lot of fun giving each other some crap there. I like to call him an old man, but he's a really great race car driver, and he taught me a lot over the years.
So I think you first came to Knoxville in 2006. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I started racing in the 360 division in 06.
Okay, and then I think you were there for a couple of years and had some good runs there. And then you moved up to the 410s in 2008. What was kind of the deciding factor at that time to change from a 360 to a 410?
Well, like you said, we'd had a little success in the 360, and we knew we kind of wanted to stay at Knoxville. And to be honest with you, the 410 class, they were really trying to get cars. That's, back when they were just struggling a little bit to keep the car count up. And we were talking about building a new 360, and we started looking at the logistics. We figured out we could build a good 410 for about what we could of, a really killer 360. And it just kind of worked out for us. It did end up being one of our best decisions. Now we've got a good solid 410 program, and then we just do a little 360 racing here and there.
And you've been racing with the Sprint Invaders, and now you're racing with the NSL as well as at Knoxville Weekly. Talk a little bit about this season. How much are you going to race in each class, series? Are you going to be able to do the whole NSL tour? What's your plans for this year?
Well, the NSL tour, it's going to be tough. That's going to be a tough schedule, with Dad and I and my team, being working all the time. I think right now our goal is, my sponsors want to see us weekly in Knoxville. As far as as the NFL goes, we're just going to kind of take it one race at a time here early in the season and see how it goes. If we're doing well and having some fun, we'll probably keep going as long as we can. Our goal is to hit all the Sprint Invader races when we can. The biggest reason as we get to mid to late season with both series, some of the races start conflicting. So we're just going to kind of play it by ear and just take one day at a time and see where the season takes us.
Are you guys going to go to Eagle on Friday night?
Yep, we are going to head out to Eagle Friday night, and then, of course, we'll be back to Knoxville on Saturday.
Okay, of course, we're talking with Josh Schneiderman here, 410 driver at the Knoxville Raceway. Back in 2010, you had an awesome year at Knoxville. I think you were top 10 in points, but you had a great run at the Nationals that year, finishing 13th. Is that career highlight for you?
Yeah, I mean, we've had some good runs. We ran third with the Outlaws in 08, my first season. We've won some 360 shows with the Invaders. Yeah, I mean, the Nationals, it's right up there. That's a big deal. It was our 25th anniversary. My dad wasn't with us in 2009. He was going through some health battles. So it was great to have him back in 2010, and it really, really showed. We'd worked hard on our program that year, and stuff really gelled for us.
You're also a graduate from, I think, Northern Iowa, right? Last week I was talking with Dylan Peterson. He's also a college graduate, and there aren't really a lot of sprint car drivers that race locally at Knoxville that have a college degree, and you're one of those few. So just talk a little bit about what you do outside of racing for a living. Obviously, racing doesn't just pay the bills for you.
No, absolutely. I actually work for Morning Sun Farm Implement. We sell farm equipment, and we sell Massey Ferguson and Kubota equipment, and that's my day-to-day job. I went to school to UNI to finish my degree because I knew I always needed something to fall back on. I'm a realist in life. I know that racing is a hobby, and it always will be a hobby. But I knew I needed that education, and it's something I went and got, something that no one can ever take away from.
What are some things that most race fans don't know about Josh Schneiderman? Like, what are your hobbies? Do you play golf? You go boating? What kind of things are you interested in?
I really enjoy in the off season watching basketball. I love keeping up with Chicago Bulls. I really enjoy going fishing. More importantly, I really, really enjoy hanging out with family, even in the off season. We're usually doing something on a Friday or Saturday in the off season, and just relaxing, enjoying ourselves. I enjoy playing cards. I'm really pretty boring when it comes to the off season.
A lot of TV shows you like to watch or anything?
Probably The Big Bang Theory has got to be my favorite TV show, and I am an avid fan of anything to do with Batman.
I am myself. I'm into all the Batman movies and even the old TV shows.
Absolutely, in the same way. I love all the new Batman stuff and anything old as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well, hey Josh, thanks for coming on to the show this week, and good luck to you. Hopefully we get some good weather this Saturday night, and we'll see you at Knoxville.
I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll keep our fingers crossed to have the rain hold off.
All right. Do you have any sponsors you want to mention while we got you on the air? I'm sure you got a lot of people to help make your team possible.
Absolutely. I'm very fortunate, and we have some great supporters, including, like you mentioned, World of Wheels, Universal Therapy Group, and Universal Fitness, MD Orthopedics, Ideal Ready Mix, Morning Sun Farm Implement, Engler Injection, J&J Auto Racing, then of course, Manny Rockhold puts our motors together, and he does a terrific job.
I didn't know Manny was still involved in racing. That's great.
Yeah, he does a great job for us. We're a small team, and we're on a tight budget, and he takes very, very good care of us.
All right, Josh. Well, good luck to you. Hopefully we'll see you Saturday night.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That was Josh Schneiderman, driver of the World of Wheels number 49. Deuce Motorsports is the owner. His father, Bart Schneiderman. Jared, his brother, has had some good success with the Sprint Invaders and at Knoxville in recent years. So they're a great family and enjoy having them in their family at Knoxville every Saturday night. Feel free to stop down and see them after the races. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the Knoxville Raceway Inside Line. Thanks to our guests, Bob Baker and Josh Schneiderman, for joining us tonight. You can also be looking for the Dirt Dreams TV shows on MAV TV. New shows airing in June once we get some races going here. Thank you for listening to the Knoxville Raceway Inside Line. Thanks to our guests, Bob Baker and Josh Schneiderman. Follow the Knoxville Raceway on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. All those social media outlets are there for you. Keep up to date with the Knoxville Raceway at knoxvilleRaceway.com as well. We'll see you at Knoxville Raceway Saturday night. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Knoxville Podcast. The Knoxville Podcast is made possible by our partners Lucas Oil, FVP, Casey's General Store, Speed Sport, Arnold Motor Supply, RacingJunk.com, and Pell.